everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Hey there, guys. How are y'all doing today? Happy Tuesday. I'm glad I was able to keep to doing an earlier live today. I do try to do them Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm going to get this up on the screen so that I can get ready to share the screen first, and then I'll go in there and say hi to people. Put a one in the chat real quick if y'all have already listened to this. I know it was you guys that told me that this even is like existing at this point in time, because I don't pay attention to the interviews and things that they do. I usually don't see them until they've been out for a few days. But this one is interesting. I will say I didn't listen to every little bit. I did what I needed to do to get out the oohs and ums and skip through his ads that he has in there. But I didn't hear everything. A lot of that I do is making sure that I'm not missing important stuff, but then I'm skipping through it like 5 seconds of it at the same time, so I don't listen to everything. Reaction channel. There's a lot of this I'm not going to know at first. But the pieces that I did hear, I am concerned. I'm concerned. I don't understand why they're still keeping up the narrative that Olivia saw all these photos of all these things when she's already admitted to Brian Inton on national television that that's not the case, that she only saw one photo. I don't know why they are pretending like this law that passed has anything to do with crime scene photos. It literally has to do with just the bodies of the deceased themselves. It's very, very specific in that. There's just a lot in here, including the fact that Chris Hansen is comparing people that want to view crime scene photos to the same thing as like people that watch child stuff. Home dude is burnt to a damn crisp, to a freaking crisp. Okay, we're gonna go over this whole thing, and yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be some more dumb shit that we end up hearing from this, because I just don't know why. I just don't know why they feel the need to come out here, exaggerate things, over-exaggerate things, not be serious about things that need to be serious. There's just a lot. There's a lot here, and it's just not okay. It's just not okay that these two are trying to constantly, actually, since the sentencing, they keep trying to put this just like child predator aura on this entire case, and it's very strange. It is very odd. So I guess we'll just see how this goes. Yes, we are going to be listening to this ridiculous thing. Redact all fact Idaho. How are you doing? Hey, DKM. Hello, George. Hey, Artsy Gal. How are you? Oh, reconstructing Leslie. How are you doing? Hey, I haven't been on lately. Only to catch up. My husband died suddenly in October with a massive heart attack, and then I broke my hip and femur 6 days later, so I'm just getting back to stuff. Holy shit. That is one hell of a situation on top of a situation to come back from. I am sorry, but I'm glad to know that things are getting what it seems to be better. Dang, that's crazy. Oh, Chris Hansen. Hey there, SARS. Who was around when CH tried to be a YouTuber and he was going after Unison? That was wild. CH definitely ruined Unison's life. And if you know, Unison was I've heard that name before. I know that this guy has like done good work. Like I know he's gone in and caught a lot of people that really deserved it and like are pieces of crap and shouldn't even be breathing, honestly, if that's like your mindset. But for them to be like joining together, and also this is like who is bringing them to Comic-Con, as far as I'm understanding, is Chris Hansen. It's just a strange coupling. It doesn't really make a lot of sense for the situation, is why it's odd. It's why it's very strange. Very, 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 very strange. Hey there, Nomadic Duck Man. How are you doing? Hey there, Becca. Hey, Mike. How are you? Hey, Teresa. Dame Shutterbug. How are you? Hey there, Sarah. Oh, you guys, Sarah posted some documents today on the EWU. No, not EWU. On the WSU lawsuit. It's like a scheduling thing. So if you're on Twitter, go over there and check them out. She might even have them on her YouTube page. She usually has them posted as well. Have you seen about the 10 missing or deceased scientists and government employees? You know, I have watched some of the stuff. Not like watched it, but I've seen posts about that over on Twitter. That's the kind of stuff, and like that one like alien expert dying just like the day after the other guy came out and told us that there's alien hybrids walking everywhere and they're starting to disclose all that stuff. That's the kind of stuff that I wish that I had the time for on my other channel. My other channel is just like basically food shorts and like stuff about the aminals. That's basically it, because I just don't have time to sit down and do all that stuff. That's like my recreational studying, researching, I guess is what you could call it. I wish I had the time. I need to find a way. I honestly need to find a way. I really do. But we will probably talk about some of that because it's been a little everywhere. Hey there, Lucid. How you doing? Hey there, Texas Toast. How are you? Hey there, Lisa. Hey there, Katie. Christina. Hey, JLL. How are you doing? Hey there, Jen. Oh my God, Zelda and Linky Binky are running laps down the hallway, and all I hear is their big old horse cloths all over the place. Hey there, Sarah. Oh, happy birthday, Lucid. Happy birthdays. Happy birthdays. I hope your day goes well. My birthday is in 4 days. My birthday's in 4 days. Hey there, Gina. Hey there, Kate. Yeah, I've seen comments about her making comments about Bryan's father. It's really sad because we know that Kohberger's sister came out and did that interview that we went over. And they make it very clear in the way that they, or at least the way that his sister discussed this stuff, that they think about the families all the time, that they feel horrible about the situation, that they have their birthdays in their calendar so that they can think about them on their birthdays and think about the families, and that they know that as hard as this is on them, it's harder on the families. Like, regardless of the situation, she's come out and publicly said all of that. And in like a basically sort of like a response, not response, a few days later, the Goncalveses on cue do a damn interview and talk shit about the whole thing. I think it was even on Nancy Grace. Like, it was just really distasteful. And like we've seen the behaviors. Like, we've seen the Kohbergers call the police on Bryan when he stole a phone. We know that they were active in trying to get him clean. They were constantly trying to figure out what to do. They never stopped trying to do the right thing. And again, they've called the cops on him before for something little. So don't you think that, like, if they really, really, truly felt deep down in their souls that he had anything to do with this prior, then they would have like called it in and done something. If they called on him before for something so small, I don't see what the difference would be here. The patterns have already been shown. We also know the way that the Goncalveses have done things. Current conversations going on about that right now on certain platforms. Yeah. So there's really no comparing the two, because we've seen the behaviors of people that are here that are paying attention. So why they are still choosing to say stuff like that, and then on top of entertaining people like Nancy Grace and that other blonde chick that she talks to, that are basically trying to call his parents accomplices simply for the fact that he had a conversation with his mother that same morning that was all very freaking normal. Like, the ridiculousness and the complete contradictory, I guess, feelings that they have towards things that if the situation was any different, they would be feeling completely different about. You know what I mean? Like, if he didn't have this just like horrible situation across the board on his name, and it was instead that he went out and saved somebody's life, and something in court went for that, and so then his phone records had to come out, and in all of that discovery they found out how much he talks to his family and how he talks to his family and the way that he calls them certain things, nobody would be thinking negative about that, because there wouldn't already be a negative aura on the whole thing. But because there is that negative aura, they want to take stuff that seemingly means literally nothing and twist it, and it's disgusting. Why are we doing that? Why are we doing that in our old ages? Why are we doing that? I don't get it. I don't get it. So we're going to listen to this interview. And again, they're allowed to feel however they want to feel, but feeling certain ways and coming out and saying blatant lies are two completely different things. And people need to understand the difference. They also need to understand the difference between us wanting the truth and nothing but the actual truth to come out in this situation, feeling bad for the families, feeling bad for the fact that they've lost someone and it's their child at that, but also expect accountability and for them not to be out here just giving us a bunch of false information for no reason. I think that's logical. I think that's commonsensical. We know that died with the pandemic, but can we try to like get it back? Because seriously, I don't understand why people are so twisted up about us simply just asking for them to be honest. That's literally all this is. We're asking for them to be honest, to stop lying, to stop spreading misinformation, to stop saying that we're the crazy ones when we have receipts that they're the ones who started half of this shit. Prime example is they came out and literally told the world that Kaylee had moved out of that house. It's in articles, it's in interviews. And then just a few weeks ago, they started commenting on their Facebook page about how whoever is out there telling people that Kaylee moved out of that house are liars and spreading misinformation. Mrs. Ma'am and Mr. Sir, it was you. What do you mean? That's why we get upset, because we can't trust what they say. And even if it is because they're that kind of people and it doesn't have anything to do with anything, that doesn't help the situation whenever they're telling us they don't trust the case, but then we're crazy for reading the court documents. You can't also tell us that you have issues with the way everything went down and then tell us, oh, but you shouldn't be reading the court documents. We demand truth. We demand justice. We're so pissed off at everything. But, we still haven't bothered to sit down and read those 20 pages they gave us on that USB. We're going to act like we know everything, but admit that we never bothered. I'm sorry. I don't understand. As a daughter, as a mother, as a human, like, please help me understand. Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't want to understand. I don't want to understand. So I'm going to go ahead and share this now that my rant is over. I'm sure there'll be another. I mean, how do you not feel weird? I know that when I've had to tell like a white lie to my kids because I was like trying to plan something, or I just didn't need them to know because they're kids. There's certain things that they've always been told and I've been honest about, but then there's some things that I have to sugarcoat or just not tell them anything at all for a while until it's appropriate. I don't like that feeling. I don't like the feeling that I actually get inside of my body when I have to tell something that I know is not true. Like I feel it in my throat. Like even if it's something tiny, I don't like it. And if it somehow your conscience has turned that off, then I'm sorry that there's an issue there. But I don't have that issue. Therefore, it bothers me. It bothers me. I've always been an asshole, but I've always been freaking honest about it. I've never came out and just told a lie to tell a lie to get attention. Like who does that? That's freaking exhausting. Life sucks enough. Can we not? Can we just not? I just don't understand it. I really don't. And I might be asshole about it. I don't really care. I'm an asshole. Suck it up. Okay. Now this came out, when did it say? April the 8th. So it's been about a week or so. I don't know if he's one of those super asshole type channels because of how big he is that acts really dumb about you using his stuff for commentary. So it's flipped. There's a filter on it. There's some ums and some ums and some silence pieces and his sponsors that have been taken out. But other than that, it's true to form. And it's still available on his channel. Been there for a minute. So we're going to go ahead and listen to this. And of course, I'm going to stop when she's not being honest, because that's just what the whole point is.
Just yesterday, from the recording of this episode, a piece of legislation passed in Idaho. Lawmakers passed it. And it centers on
that part.
The release of crime scene photos.
And Olivia would have never seen Kaylee if she wouldn't have gone to the prosecution and asked to, which is her right. I'm not saying that that's wrong. She had every right to. That's her sister. But she also can't come out and say that she's advocating for something because of something that didn't technically happen. She saw those. She saw that picture because she specifically asked to. It wasn't FOIA'd. It wasn't put out on any public forum. She went and met with the prosecution and saw this one picture where Maddie was redacted. And according to her, it was Kaylee and the destruction. And this is where she started getting all metaphorical, which is not the time and place for it. When you're trying to get a law passed and you're putting your speech and stuff out there, you should not be trying to be metaphorical and be like, oh, silly little police officers and their silly little words. You didn't look unrecognizable. Well, Miss Ma'am, to a regular human that doesn't know the ins and outs of their own sister, she did. For the seriousness of how she was attacked, she did. Why would you want to take that away while also wanting us to believe that this is something so horrible, which it is? But why would you say that kind of thing when you're trying to get a bill passed to stop these things from coming out, which again, they didn't come out? Whatever happened with the drop back in January where Xana's picture was shown, that was immediately taken off of the Idaho page where it was dropped from because it wasn't leaked. I don't know why some people are trying to say that this picture was leaked. It was put there. It was in the official drop from ISP. There was the photo of her arm, the side of her face. You could see the markings, the holes where the knife went through on her arm. You could see how covered in blood she was. You could see the details that we, sad to say it, needed to see for how serious the situation was. But you couldn't see her actual face. You could not tell by her face, if you didn't know the case, who it was. There was also like 2 that showed like pieces of her hair on the body bag. I think 1 on the pillow. But in way of what this law passed and what Olivia was trying to talk about, Olivia saw that picture in a closed room with the prosecutor's office. And saying that they wanted this law to pass because the prosecutor said that they couldn't guarantee that these photos couldn't be leaked is as ridiculous as trying to strengthen gun laws like criminals give a shit. Passing a law about the deceased photos not coming out via FOIA does not stop someone from leaking something. That's redundant. Redundant. So while I don't want to see it myself, I've never wanted to see it. I know there's some people out there that want to see it. I don't want to see it. I do believe that there are probably things that you should have to have certain certifications for in order to be able to access. And honestly, because of how disgusting humans are, the pictures of the actual bodies probably should be one of those things. Now, the crime scene itself with blurs and redactions of said bodies, no, those should be public. If you're going to try someone in public, then the evidence should be out there in public. Yes, there should be stipulations. I'm fine with those. I'm not one of those arguing with that, literally at all. But I also don't understand why they didn't just redact what happened with Xana in that one and then like re-put it back on the page, like with the redactions. I find that kind of strange because it's been months. It has been some months. 14 months from Scotland. Avril, that brings me back to my childhood. I used to have like every little bit of her music always playing. Always playing. Thank you for the $4.99, Miss Mandy. I appreciate that. Thank you for the $9.99. Gracie, how are you doing? Welcome, 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 Emma. Don't forget that we do have our members only lives the last Monday of the month where we do a giveaway. So don't forget that. Okay, let's get back to this. I've been talking a lot.
And specifically the crime scene photos of this horrific murder that took place in Idaho. Why was it so important to your family, to you, to get this legislation passed so that these photos are not released and circulated on the internet?
Well, you know, there's a couple reasons.
But I'll just say again before I let this continue. There's already something in place, obviously, or the mistake with Xana's body wouldn't have been corrected, if that makes sense. Now, I know that by the time I saw it and messaged Xana's mom to tell her, because for those of you who don't know, before the plea especially, we used to speak a lot. So when this happened, I pulled her number up and I sent her a text. I was like, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I'm just letting you know. And at that point, it was still up there. About an hour or so later, I think we were live when it was actually like taken down about an hour, maybe 2 hours after I messaged her. I feel like that was it. So, but there was already something in place, obviously, for the bodies to not come out publicly. So while, again, I don't have a problem with this law, the way that they're acting about it is interesting because I don't know if that stipulation is just for this case or if that's just a stipulation that Idaho has like altogether, unless there's certain things. But we do need to remember that in reality, something already was out from an official release, not a leak, an official release, and it was removed because it wasn't supposed to happen. So there's already technically something in place for this.
But the first and, most importantly, it is our daughter deceased in a horrible manner. Police describe Kaylee as unrecognizable, disfigured. They couldn't really understand what they were looking at, couldn't grasp what the injuries were. Our family didn't want to see it, and we didn't feel that anybody should be seeing that.
Now, I know that most of us know this already, but I just wanted to put that in there for those of you who don't. From what we've always understood, and this just clarified it, they never viewed Kaylee's body before the cremation. I don't know if I could have done that. I think I would have demanded it regardless. Like, I would have had to have seen that as my own self, as a parent. I would have had to have seen it. I can understand it being described to you and being like not wanting that to be a vision that you have in your head of your child. But that's still like a crazy thought. That's where I'll just say it like this. I've not wanted to believe in a lot of the stuff that's talked about out there. But that reason itself is one of the reasons why a lot of people think that somebody might have been a CI and somebody might actually be alive out there somewhere. And there's just a bunch of stuff happening. That's one of the reasons. Again, I never believed in those things. I know a lot of people really do. And that's fine. I can see why. But this is one of the reasons, because they never saw, before the cremation happened, what her body looked like.
You know, the internet is wide open for anybody to look and look at that stuff. And, you know, part of us almost thought that, does looking at that type of material, does that feed into certain types of personalities that could just create another maniac, such as Kohberger?
Well, these are all very valid concerns, and we should say that, you know, the city of Moscow, Idaho, the police department, when these photos were initially released, they were merely following the open records guidelines, the law of the state of Idaho at the time. So when people requested these, they were public records and were released as such. But
when people requested these, the very first batch of photographs that came out from MPD, and remember, for those of you that have been here for this ride, when we requested those MPD photos, we were given the redacted version that had like 40-something pictures gone. I was told by Amber, that works for the FOIA stuff, works and does the FOIA stuff at MPD, only one entity got those photos. That would have been the media, I guess. I haven't FOIA'd the FOIA yet, but I'm assuming it's the media, the local media that posted them on YouTube, the first ones that we saw. Even those, when it comes to the bed with Ethan on it, Ethan's body is completely blurred out. And I wasn't really sure at first if Ethan's body was even in the picture or if they were just trying to cover up the blood itself. But then I verified with MPD and put a video out showing my clarification email from them that the bodies were indeed in those pictures. So I actually don't know. I mean, I'm assuming that MPD did the blurring, but I honestly don't know that. I don't know if they, for some reason, would have released them to the media full on with no blurring. I didn't ask, but I guess I probably should. I'm assuming they would, right? Because the media, regardless, can't show that shit on YouTube. They're not going to do it. So they could have, but I'm pretty sure that MPD did. But only one entity got all of those pictures. So again, when he's trying to sit here and say, oh, these things were released, and they're talking about deceased body pictures. They're talking about seeing the destruction in Kaylee's face. That's not what came out. Do y'all see what I mean? They're trying to use the walls and the spatter and comparing it to the same thing as like a full-on autopsy photo of Kaylee's face. That's not what happened. Anywhere near what happened here. And they're intertwining the two to try to make something relevant, because they can't sit here and have a really strong argument for something that technically hasn't happened, with the argument being the way that they're trying to put it out there. Does that make sense? I'm sure you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you. And again, I've spent my life professionally as an adult finding out information about crimes. But to me, it's almost like it rises to the level, in this case specifically, of CSAM or child pornography. There's no reason anybody needs to see that.
See what I mean? Why would you say that wanting to see regular schmegular ass crime scene photos for a case that's being tried in the public, why would you compare that to that? Why would you put that aura out there? That people are going to hear you, people are going to listen to you, and then when they go and see a crime scene photo, they're going to get this ick in the back of their mind because of some dumb shit that you just said. Like, that's crazy to even try to compare the two. And again, since the sentencing, they've been pushing this PDF file aura. Y'all remember what Olivia said. I don't know why they're doing that. It's very odd. It's very, very strange. Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, Sharon. I appreciate that. And congrats to those who got those. Oh, thank you for the 2, Miss Lindy J. Thank you for being in here. Yeah, the whole thing is very weird. I don't know why. All of these people were adults. Dylan and Bethany were adults. Kohberger was an adult. Kohberger was only like, what, 6 years older than Kaylee and Maddie? 6-ish years older than Kaylee and Maddie, but they were all adults. Like, I don't know why they keep going that way. It's very weird.
Other than the investigators, and should the next of kin request it, which this new law allows for, they can have at
As
it.
they
But
should
once
have
the investigation is
ability to.
completed, those things are sealed. And I think that's appropriate. What issues did it cause your family by having these crime scene photos become public?
Crime scene, not
it was
body.
incredibly painful. It was very traumatizing. People say, well, don't look at it, but it's a little hard not to, open up your Facebook or,
But you should have already seen these. Like, I'm sorry. This is it always sounds harsh to people, but I'm sorry. You should have already seen these. Either you should have requested these already, or they should have handed you everything. Like, regardless of how I feel about these people, they should have been handed literally everything. 20 pages on a USB is not everything. Let's be serious. Now, granted, we know that they haven't even bothered with that little bitty bit of information, but they still should have been handed everything. Everything. And honestly, if they could have been trusted, it should have happened the second that the plea happened. If they were really trying to keep things quiet to give the family more of a heads up before the gag is lifted, that would have been like the humane thing to do. Just in the generic situation, you know what I mean? Like, you should have seen these already. But you also can't be mad that people are curious, because y'all are the ones, especially y'all, are the ones who came out here and were in the public. Hella. So you can't be mad when the public is just wanting closure in its own situation, in its own stance in the situation, especially with all of the questions. Oh, the behavior is just odd to me.
Social media apps or even the news. And, it's hard just to protect yourself or put yourself in a bubble to not be exposed to that content. So, we have younger children. Well, our youngest is 19, but, she's away at college, and I was terrified thinking how Aubrey was going to feel. I knew she was going to see it. And,
it's no different than
there's
anyone
nothing you could
else's kid seeing it, especially since
there's
she's
just
not a
nothing you
child.
could do.
Your other daughter, Olivia, was very active in the legislative effort to change the law here. Why
Well, I
was
don't know
it
if
so
you can say
important
that,
for her,
but okay.
as the older sister of Kaylee, to do that?
So Olivia is the only one out of the entire family that felt very strongly with needing to see Kaylee. So she sat down with the investigators and the prosecutor last October, and she reviewed crime scene photos and autopsy photos.
No. So either Olivia is lying or Kristi is lying. Because again, and I'm not going to replay it. We've gone through it already. I've showed it already. I've proven that she's full of shit. The video is very recent, like just a few weeks. Olivia told Bryan Kohberger that there was only one photo that she looked at, and that Maddie was redacted in it, and that they offered more, but that she couldn't do it. What does that tell you? That tells you she only looked at the one photo. It was the one photo that was taken inside of the room because Maddie had to be redacted. Nothing about autopsy photos. So not only has it gone from the way that they lied about it in the one that we went over a couple weeks ago, about it being more than one photo, now she's bringing up autopsy photos. That is not what Olivia said. That is not what Olivia said. And she did that interview with Brian Inton like just a few weeks after it happened. Like, I'm pretty sure the interview was in October and she had gone like earlier in that month. So why are they exaggerating and adding every time they tell the story, adding something else to it past what we were already told? Like, that's nonsense. That's actually nonsense.
Of Kaylee. And I really think that just, instilled in her that this cannot be seen. People cannot look at this. This is not okay for people to see my sister in this state.
We weren't going to see it. There was already some sort of rule.
Knowing that Kaylee wouldn't want that. Kaylee would be like, absolutely not. I don't want people looking at, me passed away, stabbed 24 times in my face.
There's already a rule, though.
My teeth knocked out. Just where is the protection there for the deceased? Why does the deceased have no say?
What do you mean? Where is the protection for the deceased? No one saw that photo but your daughter. Nobody saw that but your daughter. And the only reason why she saw it is because she asked to see it. Is this like going over their head? Why are they taking these situations and twisting it into something that it's not? How can you see all of this and know like every little detail of how they're presenting things to the public and not instantly notice the contradictions? You don't even have to be somebody who thinks that the case is bullshit. How do people not see this and not question this more? It's just like with everything that just went down with the cease and desist and all that bullshit. When they addressed it on their Facebook page, they sure did not mention that it was sent to Steve's older daughter. They just wanted to make it sound like it was just regular schmegulars, like people like me. No, it was his child. There's a reason that they didn't put that in their response to it, because they don't want their cult on that page to know the truth. They have been doing nothing but telling lies in every aspect of everything here. Why? It's not necessary. Everything sucks enough. This whole thing is shitty enough. Why is this the way that they've decided to play this game? I don't understand it. I'm frustrated and I'm aggravated because nothing has stopped. If anything, it's gotten worse. The lies in the WSU lawsuit, the continuance of coming out and not being honest, I don't comprehendo. I don't understand.
Well, obviously they don't have a voice, but Olivia was like, I'm going to be her voice. And nobody needs to see this.
You must be very proud of her for
absolutely
dealing with this and spearheading. And obviously she had your support, your husband's support.
Did y'all see the testimony that Olivia gave? We played it on this channel. It was sent to me. It's out there for the public. Please go watch it. Watch how she looks at her child at the end of that video. Watch how she's behaving. Watch how she's acting in that testimony. And for them to say that they played such a big part and like all these people were so excited and like reaching out to them and talking to all these people. If you go and you watch the testimony, the guys that she's talking to don't even know how to pronounce her last name. They don't even know who she is or what she's there to talk about. To them, she's just somebody coming up to say something about the bill. They don't know who she is. Should they have? Probably, because this family is involved in one of the most high-profile cases to hit Idaho. They should have known who she was. They should have known how to say her name. They didn't. I mean, that says a lot in itself. But if you haven't watched the testimony, either go back and find the video where we went over all of the discrepancies, because it's in there, or just go find it. It's there.
Everybody in the family support. But the grief here, the loss, and the method of murder is incomprehensible in this case. And I've covered violent crimes for 46 years, literally. Some of the worst things that human beings can do to each other. And I must tell you, this, in terms of being senseless, is right at the top. As a journalist, as a parent, we all worry when we send our kids off to college. We all remember what we did when we were in college. Thankfully, most of us emerge on the other side unscathed, or at least not experiencing anything we needed to share with our parents. But
right.
This is at a whole different level. For you to sit here and talk to me about it, first of all, I think is amazing. And I want you to take people through the process of what you and your family have had to deal with to come out on the other side and to be able to live. I guess there's no normal.
What have they had to do?
But to
Lie.
get to a new normal so that you can put this in perspective and keep going for your other children and for the sake of your marriage and the rest of the people in your lives.
Welcome.
I mean, how do you do that step by step every day?
It is very day by day. Because, for, over 3 years now, it's felt like, a constant attack.
Because you won't come out and admit the things that you've lied about. And the things that you've lied about aren't just about stuff about Kaylee. Y'all came out and put an entire narrative on what happened to Xana and Ethan, and none of it was true for years. For years, the story that y'all came out made everyone believe that Ethan's body was behind the freaking door because Hunter Chapin had to struggle to Hunter Johnson had to struggle to open it because Dylan and Bethany specifically called him and he went over there and had to struggle to open the door because Ethan's body was behind it. That came from y'all's interview, Kristi, with Drunk Turkey. That didn't come from anybody making shit up. You said that stuff. And then you had to come out and admit that you were the one who did that interview. And when Steve got asked about it, he just tosses it off, throws it under the rug, and acts like it didn't happen while it's saying that he talked to Hunter Johnson. Well, then where'd the freaking lie of a story come from? And if you literally misheard the whole thing, why have y'all not come out here and taken accountability for giving a false narrative for 2 years on this case? Because that's what it did. It changed so much when that story came out. Because who said it? The victim's parents. Of course we're going to take some weight to it back in the day. Of course we were. Brian's device touching Wi-Fi. Lie as hell. And Mr. IT is going to come out here and be like, oh, I just misunderstood. What? In your profession, you want us to believe that you misunderstood something about Wi-Fi connection? Miss me with it, bro. It's stuff like that. Everyone should be upset at the fact that they came out here and lied so much, pushed so much that they had to admit themselves. And this is all on national TV. This is all in interviews that you can go back and find yourself. They admitted that they had to change every single one of their impact statements because everything that they had written wasn't true. The morning of the sentencing, they had to rewrite everything. Because everything they had gone and found with false bullshit information was actually proven to be false bullshit information. And have they come out and corrected any of it? No. So yes, people are going to keep asking you to be honest and tell us the truth. And if that's an attack to you, well then, honey baby, I don't know what to tell you. In your age, you should understand accountability. All we want is honesty. All we want is the truth. All we want is for you guys to come out and say, we said this is where we got the information from. Obviously it was false. And we didn't have the right information that could have led to that answer in the first place because we weren't given anything from the state. The state wasn't talking to us. People need to have questioned that a long time ago. How do y'all have anything to go and get these answers? How do y'all have anything from his devices? How do y'all have anything from his history if it's a sealed up case with a gag order and no one's talking to you? We know they haven't been talking to them since the grand jury. Before that, they were talking about being ignored and not being given updates while they were still in front of the news before Kohberger's arrest. I mean, come on. This has been a constant for them. They created their own information because they couldn't be trusted by the people to be given that information. I don't know what it means in way of how the case went. I just know that that's what happened. They admitted it themselves. So no, Kristi, it's not an attack. It might feel like an attack because it's a constant, but what you guys are doing is also a constant. That's the problem. All we want is for y'all to come out and be honest. I just don't understand why that is so hard for them.
And, the justice system is not something easy to go through. So, just thinking that we were going to be going to trial and all the proceedings before that were very mentally and emotionally exhausting and painful, constantly waiting for.
And I'm not saying, thank you for being here for 8 months, Shelly. I'm not saying that dealing with this didn't suck. I know that they lost a kid and I know that this has to suck. I get how much it has to suck, but why do you want to add more to that? Why do you want to add more to that?
the judge to make a decision, because I think there was very little ruling from the bench. So sometimes it was weeks waiting for a motion to be answered by the judge, and that just is very hard on the family. Things were trickled back to us during that time of Kaylee's. At some point, we got a huge amount of Kaylee's things that were all boxed up, which I never went through until recently. And then there was also several.
Y'all remember? I'm stopping more than I want to, but if you're not new here, you already know I talk a lot. Okay. Y'all remember when True Crime Design came out and told us a whole bunch of stuff about the LLCs that, or at least like the businesses that the Goncalveses used to dabble in? And it had a lot to do with like the cloud and stuff like that. And it was real shady looking. And literally like the very next day, Kristi found a Post-it note that was in Kaylee's boxes talking about the cloud and something about like business notes about the cloud. And she posted it on Facebook. Knowing what had just gotten dug up, stuff that I went and found myself after watching the short that True Crime Design put out. I went out and found the business records myself. We talked about it. They fuel the shit. So not only do they constantly feel like they're being attacked, we know that they're like orchestrating a lot of that attack on themselves because they've got to have the attention. You know damn well within 2 seconds when someone's talking about you. Y'all have got y'all's little snakes everywhere. Literally everywhere. So there's no way that they didn't know that that was the conversation being had. For her to find that perfect little Post-it note that has all that information that suddenly became relevant, and that's what she posted on Facebook. Tell me she's not trying to fuel her own dumpster fire. Like, it's so predictable at this point.
Months later, we were given the option to go down to, they had like a modular home on U of I campus, and it had their bedroom set up, and we could go in there and get the rest of their things. So that was incredibly emotional. Seeing him in court, just being there in court, my husband and I think we missed 2 court appearances between Ada County and Latah County. So Latah County is a 6-hour drive for us. And, we were there. We felt it was important to be there, and it's very difficult. And I got my strength from God, and praying was very something that I found
that's rich coming from
to find incredible strength in. And my husband, my family, my kids, my grandkids, you have to keep going. You can't just lay down and die. You feel like you're going to. You absolutely do feel like you're going to, but God willing, you can't.
I mean, I get that.
I can't
but the way that
imagine
they're
getting
doing
the
shit
call
is wild.
that you got. And I can't fathom this crime happening at the University of Idaho in an off-campus home shared by, 4 college pals. It's not a place where you have to lock the doors, typically. I mean, I know you told
Yeah, and in 2022, that's crazy.
So I'm sure you did. But they're just living their lives, and it's not just not a high crime area. It's not a crime area at all, aside from kids.
What? Sir, that area was nicknamed the White Harlem. What do you mean it's not a crime area? You don't get that nickname for no reason. Let's be serious.
Stealing bicycles or having too much to drink at the pub or whatever.
Just a guy on a bike path with a knife.
It's unfathomable to me to get that
Just
call.
People trying to come into your house constantly. Just people constantly trying to open the door. Like, what? Dude, shut up.
About a child at the University of Idaho.
Absolutely. Moscow is a beautiful little town up here in the Panhandle, North Idaho. It's about an hour and a half, maybe close to 2 hours from where we live. So,
Molly. In Molly's interview with Payne and what is it, Gooch, the one who's like really good actually at interviewing, a lot better than the men. Let's be so serious, which isn't surprising, honestly. That's what she says. She says that area used to be known as the White Harlem. Like, is known as the White Harlem. And they've got a bunch of college people there. Like, in that area. And then just the Sigma Chi guys alone had, 3 break-ins in their vehicles of stuff getting stolen. Plus, we had the girl that had her car broken into and her underwear and stuff were moved around. There's the guy on the bike path right before this happened that had a knife and was like threatening people. There was the guy that Eric Gower said that he went into the restrooms and there's some dude in there with a knife cleaning stuff off of it in a sink. Like, it is a crime area. But for some reason, the university puts this bullshit. It's the same way that the Envision Idaho is a front. Okay, that's what I'm telling you. There's some sort of subliminal something happening here. For as much as people say nothing ever happens in Moscow, there's no way that people are just freely saying that on their own will, the way that it's constantly said by everyone. It's very Stepford wifey, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. There's something going on there. Something going on there. And for people that have actually like been in situations in that area to then also say that constantly is even more strange. Even more strange. So whatever like the illusion is they're putting on for people to think that, I mean, obviously it's working. But when we know that they do stuff, again, like Envision Idaho, where they say that there's not supposed to be any parties, everything is shut down because the high school kids and their parents are coming to take a look and see if this is where they want to send their kids. So we've got to look prim and proper. Like, come on. Seriously? How much do you really look into, Chris Hansen, for this to be your take on things?
It was always a quick trip down there to get there for Kaylee to come home. Very quaint town.
Such a quick trip. But whenever you got the call from your niece that Kaylee might have been pew-pewed at a party the night before you knew the truth, y'all sat in y'all's living room for hours and did not leave to go down there. Such a quick trip for Kaylee to go back and forth, but you couldn't take that quick trip to go down there and see what the hell was going on. You're calling Maddie, you're calling Kaylee, you're seeing the house on the freaking TV, and y'all don't leave. The multiple adults in that house don't move. They're watching football. And mind you, Kristi ended up telling us about 2 years after the crime took place, she and Steve are doing an interview, and she mentions how for the very, very, very first time in their entire relationship, over 20 years, 20-something years of being together, Steve is sick for the very, very, very first time and ends up going to the emergency room in the early morning hours of that morning because he suddenly has something that causes like a rash and pain and all this stuff happening on his face. I always say it wrong. Somebody will put it down in the chat. Suddenly you have a stress-induced situation that takes you to the emergency room around the same time that all the crazy shit's probably going on with the murders taking place, and then y'all don't go down there. And it's not like this is like something being seen on the TV and then they don't really know. She's getting a call from her niece, Sabrina, telling her something happened. Telling her a story that's not true because that's what the rumors were at the time, but they don't go down there. Like, in what reality do you not have multiple freaking adults in your home get a call that your daughter might have just been shot at a party and everything is going crazy and somebody doesn't get in a vehicle and goes down there? And I don't want to hear, well, Maddie's mom went. That's not got shit to do with Kaylee's family. And I'm really wondering, where the hell was Steven, the brother? Because I know that he was going to school around the same time or at the same time. Was he like back at the house during watching football too? He didn't go down there. Where was he? Where was he? That will always and forever be in the back of my mind how nobody moved from that house. You get a call from a family member and nobody goes. That's insane to me.
Very nice. And to think that one of the worst crimes in American history happened in Moscow, Idaho, to my daughter and her best friend and two other friends, is still just seems unbelievable to me.
There was a lot of speculation early on, Kristi, about whether or not the Moscow police were up to the task here. And there were a number of weeks before an arrest.
They didn't do anything.
But looking back, as it turns out, the Moscow police and the FBI were doing everything they could do and everything they were supposed to do, and in fact brought this case to a successful arrest. Did you have an inkling as the weeks went by that they were on this? Did you have confidence? Did you have an inside track on this? Or were you wondering at some point, God, are they ever going to get the
They've already admitted they weren't telling them anything.
They held it completely close to us. We had no idea. We had none. Matter of fact, the night they arrested him, it was the day before Kaylee and Maddie's celebration of life. Their celebration of life was on December 30th, and we had family all in town, so our house was full. And that night, I had a complete, utter breakdown. I just said, I can't keep doing this. I can't do this. I can't live not knowing who has done this. And I felt helpless. I felt hopeless. And I felt like it was going to become a cold case. And I did not know how I was going to be able to handle that. And I just, I was on my knees and I was crying and, to Steve. And we wound up going to bed. And a few hours later, Shannon called me. It was around 10:30 at night, almost 11 actually. And Shannon called and I was like, why is Shannon calling me? I kind of woke up. I was barely asleep. And he said, Kristi, they've made an arrest. It's out of state. He's in Pennsylvania. He gave us information on it and told that, not to go public with it. We could tell our family about it, but we needed to keep it close. And but an arrest has been made. And he was told by the detective that called him that this was the person, 100%.
I think Kohberger's father harbored him.
Absolutely. I definitely.
That's crazy as hell.
But on the other hand, I compare, I just know how our family dynamics work.
So do we. The police reports are out there. So do we. That's crazy.
And we have a son, and there's just no way that my husband our son would have done something like this and not connected the dots, the area, the location, the car, the traveling. My husband just
the planned traveling. Ma'am, do we seem to forget that all these criminal justice little losers that pretend to actually give a shit about stuff literally were not only around him every single day, complaining about him every single day apparently, but also some of them were in that actual vehicle and none of them turned him in? None of the people that were with him at this exact same time that saw him before and after that had actual apparent issues with him thought he was worth calling in a tip either. So to sit there and say absolutely about something like this, is that not slander? Or something to say, oh yeah, we know for a fact he was harboring a fugitive. We know for a fact they were hiding him. You can't just sit here and say this kind of shit, especially when there's no proof of any of that. Literally no proof of any of that. We've also known from the very beginning from their attorney in Pennsylvania that them doing that trip back to drive back was already planned months and months before that. And let's also not forget, he tried to go in and change his plates way before the date of the crime and only ended up going in afterwards because he was told to wait. He was told by the Department of Licensing to wait for tax reasons to save some money. Again, everything with the vehicle is very traceable too. So I don't really quite understand why anybody felt like it held any weight to begin with that he changed his plates a few days after it took place. All traceable. Everything has a paper trail in that situation.
He was told by the detective that called him that this was the person, 100%.
I think Kohberger's father harbored him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's insane.
I definitely. But on the other hand, I compare, I just know how our family dynamics work. And we have a son, and there's just no way that my husband our son would have done something like this and not connected the dots, the area, the location, the car, the traveling. My husband just would have been if he thought that our son was capable of something like this, which our son is not, it would have been what's going on?
Yeah, and you take him in and have the discussion with the detectives and get to the bottom of it, which is what any proper parent would do.
But with the situation with Olivia and her husband, you're the one, Miss Kristi, who told Olivia not to call the cops. That's in the police report. And
I felt as his parents, they had to at least be talking about it amongst the husband and wife. And I just know, like, our family would have been like, hey, we're just going to ask you this,
Right.
you know.
But address it and be truthful with us.
Yes, but did you have anything to do with this back in Moscow? So I find that hard, but I don't know. Maybe that's just a very strange family. Maybe they don't talk. Maybe they don't communicate. But even that, I can't imagine that he didn't have the thoughts going on in his own head.
How can she sit there and know the amount of times that Bryan talked to his parents that's out there publicly and then say something so ignorant as maybe they just don't know, maybe they just don't communicate? I'm sorry? That's wild. It's like she doesn't pay attention to literally anything that can actually change her mind in the right direction. That's not a lie. That's wild. Girl, you wild.
Maybe that's just a very strange family. Maybe they don't talk. Maybe they don't communicate. But even that, I can't imagine that he didn't have the thoughts going on in his own head.
What bothered me about seeing him in court was the smug look, the smarminess, the fact that he appeared unctuous, like he was smarter than everybody else. And
he was stoic. What do you expect in the man? He's autistic, for one. Already has social issues, obviously. So he's not going to look like you would expect somebody to look, which for some reason they also seem to like forget when it comes to the way that he presented himself in court. But also, if you actually pay attention to what he's really doing, you can see that there are reactions there, but they use such the most disgustingly gross cameras that you can barely see it. But you can see that there's, what is he supposed to do? If everything really is the way that I fucking think everything is here, okay, then there's no reason why this should have went down the way that it went down. So if he literally is having to do this for reasons, what the hell are you expecting him to do? What are you expecting him to do? But to also sit there and say that he was sitting there looking around like he was better than everybody. No, he wasn't. Even a guilter will say that he didn't have like really any sort of anything happening there. So to put your own twist on what you saw that we all saw and you're not truthful about, like, why? Why? Did anybody notice any of that? I didn't. I just saw him sitting there. I never once saw like a smug look or like a mean look or anything. It was just very there. That's all I can say. He was there. How would you feel in that situation? If you knew that you really didn't do something and this was all freaking insane and you didn't know what else to do in order to not die, how would you have acted? Like, serious freaking question. I just wish that this guy would actually like crack open a document. Maybe just one forensic record before you talk about the case would be great. Thanks.
Gave me the impression as a veteran crime reporter that this was a guy who thought he could commit the perfect crime. And he had gone through whatever process he went through to identify the victims, whether because they were pretty or he, wanted to have he was in a jealous rage because he wanted to date one of them, whatever it ended up being, that he thought he could do this and get away with it. And this was going to be his goal in life. But to see him continue to be smug in court, if it bothered me so much, it had to have been hell on earth for you and your husband to see him.
It was very hard to see him. I mean, sometimes I would just look at him and just it's very hard to like wrap your mind around. I mean, you're just looking at this person and in a way, he's a very pathetic person, not this, and I think to myself, like if Kaylee was, awake on her feet, she would have gave you a fight, she would have fought you. And the look on his face, it just kind of, to me, just paints the picture of who he is, what he is. I don't even know if he's human, honestly. I really don't. I don't.
Like, I get if you really honestly in your hearts of hearts, which I don't see how you possibly could if you paid attention to anything, which you've already told us that you don't, you feeling that way whenever you look at him. But to over-exaggerate, you're over-exaggerating. You're over-exaggerating the entire thing. Let's also just pick that apart for a second. If you really think that Kaylee could have taken Kohberger all by herself if she was sober, but for some reason, even with Kaylee having defense wounds and Maddie having some defense wounds, the amount of force that was used to attack Maddie and Kaylee, and then also Xana and how much we saw her fighting, and then also how ginormous Ethan was, and you still are that's the only thing that you think of with that. How could he have possibly done all of this with all four? Again, even if Kaylee and Maddie were asleep, which I don't believe that Kaylee was asleep, but even if they were actually asleep and all they did was get to like sort of like fight back as he was attacking them, and really not a lot of actual fighting actually took place, explain Xana and Ethan when we know that they were both very much awake. Ethan was up on his elbow. The amphetamine levels damn well tell you he was not sleeping. Xana, there's no freaking way that he could have walked out there with no scratches on his face, his neck, no pieces of hair missing. Like, there's no way. And if you really think that just about the one person, take Maddie out of the equation. I always do. I always feel like she was probably the only one that was really asleep. That's still two other people. How do you explain it? He's so pathetic to you. There's no way he could have physically done this. And you're not remembering, obviously, the fact that there's more than just your daughter that was attacked here. So then how do you explain all of the other people if you think that Kaylee could have taken him and he's so pathetic? I know that they're questioning. And the fact that they feel like for some reason they can't come out here and just be honest about the questions is crazy. Like, I feel like if I was in their shoes and I honestly felt like this was the wrong person, I would be fighting for that. I wouldn't be filing WSU lawsuits and dumb shit. I would be fighting for the fact that something isn't adding up here. I'd be fighting Idaho. I'd be fighting Latah County. I'd be fighting the FBI. I'd be fighting Moscow. I'd be fighting the people responsible for all the confusion, not whatever the hell is going on. So the only other explanation for the amount of questions that they constantly still have, the anger that they still have towards this case, and the things that they say is money. Because if they admit that they have questions about Kohberger, if they admit that he's too pathetic to have actually done this, which is basically what they've said from like day one, if you go back, they can't admit that because that takes away that $400,000 lawsuit or whatever it is, however many freaking money is. I don't even honestly remember because I just don't care. They wouldn't be constantly fighting restitution. The restitution wouldn't be constantly changing, and they wouldn't be filing that lawsuit. They'd be doing what they needed to do to figure out what the hell actually happened here. And that's not the fight they're fighting. I don't get it. I'll just continue to say that I just don't understand it.
I feel like there's a human inside of him. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. By sitting in the room with him, looking in his eyes, having him look at you, like as we did at the sentencing. That is not a person. That is not that's not the way a person looks at another person.
Oh, did I miss this? I feel like I missed this. Thank you for the gifted memberships, Amber Status. Congratulations to those who got those.
It's terrifying.
It is terrifying, and it's just shocks the conscience that another human being could do that to anyone. He entered into a plea agreement, and it avoided going to trial, which can be painful. He avoided the death penalty.
With that situation.
But will never see the light of day.
We want a trial.
Looking back at that agreement, and I understand why prosecutors consider this, and I understand why families may or may not sign off on it. And I could argue myself into a standoff as to whether it's better for somebody like this to have the death penalty.
So I just had a missed call from someone at the Idaho State Police Department for some requests that I sent. Y'all remember a while back I said that I was trying to figure out how to get some answers for, I can't remember what exactly it was. There's like 5 or 6 different things with Idaho State Police right now. But I said that I had emailed Matthew Gamet because I had his email to see if he could send me over to somebody who could answer my questions. So I just had a missed call a few minutes ago from somebody over there. They left me a pretty long voicemail. So I'm going to call them back today. I'm going to go through my emails and my notes because, like I said, there's like 5 or 6 different things with ISP that I'm trying to get information on, including where the hell the transcript is, where's the pocket recording, where's all this stuff, why is the report missing? There's a lot of questions. Lots of questions. So I'm going to get all that together and call her back today. I'm surprised that they called me back. It is Tuesday. When did I send that? I'll have to check. I feel like it was sometime last week, but I'll do that today.
Or better for them to suffer in prison the rest of their lives. Looking back at that plea agreement, how do you feel today?
That's with MPD.
I think the plea deal
MPD
was
first.
terrible. And I think we thought it was terrible when it took place, how it happened. And
I agree.
now I think that we feel like it's even worse because of the fallout.
Okay, but the fallout would have happened even if this would have gone to trial. Like if this would have gone to trial and he would have been found guilty, this stuff would have come out anyway. If he would have gone to trial and would have been found not guilty, I'm pretty positive, at least in something that makes any sense, right? That would instantly have triggered an open investigation again because he would have been found not guilty. And then therefore nothing would be out here still. We would still be under a gag order. We would still, I mean, they might have ended up releasing something, but we would not have any of the information that we have today if he would have been found not guilty. So if this would have gone to trial, then we couldn't complain about either which way it went in way of evidence coming out and the way that things flowed out, because it would have all depended on how that all ended up. So regardless, for what y'all believe happened here, this was going to happen. The evidence was going to come out as it should, because again, not only did the FBI, MPD, ISP, but also the families came out and begged the public for help, wanted the public's attention. This is how it's been for every case. There is nothing special about this that would stop this information from coming out. And again, nothing about the bodies is supposed to be out there anyway. I just wish I knew why they were twisting the stories together, because it just bothers me.
Of the information, the conspiracies, and people saying that he just pled guilty, that it happens all the time. People plead guilty for unknown reasons when they're not guilty, which they think that he did. And at least I feel like if...
Stop. This is so beyond ridiculous, this part right here. Like there's very specific people that are constantly pushing this theory, and there's no proof of anything. There's nothing official on anything. I don't understand why this is still a thing. None of this is true. But this is what I'm talking about. When people hear that they didn't actually view Kaylee's body, when they didn't actually go in and see her before she was cremated, that's where this kind of stuff takes off. I don't entertain this kind of stuff. I don't entertain that the crime didn't happen. I don't entertain that these people didn't die. I don't entertain all of that. It happened. Somebody needs their asses whooped and then put in prison for the rest of forever. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. To try to say that anything else other than they died that night happened is crazy to me, because we know that they died. We're here because they died. But to put a bunch of false information out there about how, oh, she clung on for a whole nother month, I'm sorry. Her face was obliterated. There's no way in shit someone whose face was actually completely obliterated and bled out for 8 hours. What? We also know for a fact, because of the camera footage that we've seen from every freaking angle now at this point, from the camera on the house to all of the body cams, nobody with any medical anything went into that house. None. No paramedics went inside. No bodies came out for hours. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. No, that is not something that should be being spread around out here, that she hung on to dear life in some hospital until December the 10th. That's crazy. And it comes up and it goes away, and it comes up and it goes away, and it comes up and it goes away. And the people that are constantly out here pushing it can never provide the actual proof. It's always something that looks like it was doctored in a really bad freaking paint or a Canva. It's never anything official. There's never any official records or paper trail or anything like that. I don't understand, on top of the insanity we already have, why that is something that people like to do. That's where I draw the line. I don't do the over edited. I don't do the, oh, let me make this hella blurry and blow it up and circle it and pretend like I see something that's not there. I don't do that. So we're not going to sit here and entertain. She hung on for dear life with her face completely obliterated and asphyxiation everywhere and the blood all over the place until December the 10th. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. Thank you for the 10 gifted memberships, Wisteria. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's my point right there. And that's what pisses me off with people like that stupid ass Stephanie attorney and other people like Boobs McGee. They're so ignorant that they want to put people like me, and there's other people that only freaking stick to the documents and the court information and the forensics, but they want to put people like me that are fact driven and really trying to dig into the actual evidence in the case with nothing but official paperwork. They want to put us that have brains in with the people that constantly just put a whole bunch of over-edited, ridiculous stuff out there that makes no sense whatsoever. And it makes us that are actually sitting here asking real questions look insane. That's why when there's channels that do that kind of stuff, I will adamantly come out and be like, no, I don't participate. No, I don't like that, because I don't want to be lumped in with those people. Sorry, not sorry if this offends people. I don't care. I don't want to be lumped in with people that make shit up and put a bunch of false crap out there, because again, this is insane enough. What do I look like wanting to entertain some shit that's not true to try to throw off the reality of what's happening here? That's how things don't get answered. That's how the truth doesn't come out, by following all the bullshit that you know damn well is orchestrated. You know that there's just people sitting in their rooms at their computers just trying to figure out, okay, what filter can I put on here and how big can I blow it up and how much can I make it blurry and then still make it look like it's something. No, we don't play mental case games here. We don't. We stick with the facts, we stick with the reality. It's messed up enough. We don't need to pretend about literally any of it.
We were able to go back to that plea deal, which we tried to demand. I mean, we had 24-hour notice. Actually, we didn't even have that when we were told that the plea deal was happening. But let
me hear that. How she put that one more time, because we know the truth about this situation.
For unknown reasons when they're not guilty, which they think that he did. And at least I feel like if we were able to go back to that plea deal, which we tried to demand. I mean, we had 24-hour notice. Actually, we didn't even have that when we were told that the plea deal was happening.
Okay. So the truth is, and I have proof of all of this. I have the receipts. Like, I'm pretty sure like in double. Because what I use, I get a text and I get an email about that text. And so I have threads both ways. Okay. The Thursday before the plea was announced, all of the families got notice that they needed to be present for a Zoom meeting the next day, which was the Friday before the plea was announced, so they could discuss it. Okay? As far as I can remember, the plea was announced, and I'm going to look at my back end on my YouTube to find the exact date, but I'm pretty positive that the plea deal came out on the 30th of June. Let me just make sure without Googling it, because we went live when that happened. And I just want to make sure. Yeah. June 30th, 2025. So let me pull up a June 2025 calendar. So the 30th was a Monday. They were contacted on Thursday, June the 26th via email and told that they were needed in a Zoom meeting on Friday around noon, is I believe the timing that the meeting was. And the plea was said to have been completed to them on Sunday night on the 29th. So they were told about a meeting on the 26th. The meeting took place on Friday the 27th. Then all day Saturday and nothing happened. They said that late on Sunday evening, they got an email saying that they were going to go ahead and go through with the plea deal. And then the plea deal became public on the 30th. So to say that they had less than 24 hours notice is a damn lie. Okay.
But we initially we just went right in and we said, what are the agreement, the terms of this plea deal? And, you know, they told us the terms and we were like, why are you not asking for allocution? Why are you not asking him to give information that only he would know? There's things that only he would know. And they said, well, you know, he was just going to lie. Well, then you ask him things that he can't lie about. There are things that he can't lie and you could say, nope, try again.
But see, the excuse we got from that was from Thompson. And he said that 2 weeks after the murders took place, before the DNA stuff was even handed over to the FBI, before any of that happened, that they were told by an FBI profiler that it would be completely useless to bother asking the person responsible why they did it because it wouldn't make sense to anyone with a normal mind. What? Does that not sound like gaslighting and manipulating how the situation goes? Because at this point, maybe they already knew that they were going to be pulling some bullshit. So they want to just go ahead and cover their bases now and be like, don't even bother asking whoever we bring to you. It's not going to make any sense. He's going to lie about it anyway. So just don't even bother asking. 3 years later, you listen to that. 3 years later, with as crazy as this case got, that's the way that you decided to do this? How actually ignorant. You know, the only reason why they did this is because Kohberger doesn't have a story to tell. Why else would they not bother? They said themselves, they can't put him anywhere in that neighborhood, nowhere in that area, that he has no connections to that house, no connections to the victims, no connections to the roommates. He doesn't have a story to tell. That's why they didn't ask. But why isn't that the mindset that they have, knowing that there's literally nothing here, knowing that everything that they were told maybe could be there isn't? Why isn't that the direction that they go with it?
Try again, or else we're not going to do this plea. Like, there was a second weapon used on Kaylee. That is unknown, even to the FBI to this day. Does not know what was used to beat Kaylee's face.
Of course they don't, because they didn't investigate anything.
That have not been able to be identified by the best of the best. Tell us.
And that weapon has never been found, and he has never admitted to anybody what that weapon is.
I wonder why.
No. And Kaylee did suffer the stab wounds as well. But Kaylee had very bad face trauma that left pattern marking. Kaylee was also missing several teeth. Several teeth were broken as well. We think that the knife most likely wound up in the river. You know, there's where he left that night, which is probably never will be found, right? I mean, even if he threw it in at this location, it probably traveled, you know, depending on how deep the water is there or not. But they could have at least asked, you know, what did you do with your clothes? Maybe he would have lied and said, oh, I dumped them in a dumpster. Maybe he would have said he burned them. But I think him speaking more, just him speaking more would have stopped a lot of this nonsense that's going on. And the fact that we are still getting documents drop as today. And we're still learning new things about the case today.
What does, if he answered anything or said anything, what that doesn't have anything to do with the fact that there's still documents coming out in this case. That's just how that would have worked. But also remember that in a very public Facebook post, she wrote for us to stop reading the documents. That's literally what they instructed their 100,000+ followers over there to do, is to not read the documents. They're coming out. We're learning something new every single time they do, but don't bother reading them. Don't do it. That means that you question everything and you're attacking us. Don't bother reading the documents. Crazy as shit.
This would have been summed up and it would have been over probably back in November.
Give me a sense of some of the things that you're learning today about this case.
Well, they actually haven't dropped some documents for a while. Why
are you scratching your head? It's because you know that when we FOIA stuff and pay for it, y'all get it. When we get information and we talk about it, y'all get that information. There's been shit tons of information interviews, body cam, all kinds of stuff that has been coming out in between us waiting for documents to come out. That's why she's scratching her head. That's a nervous tick because she knows she's about to be full of shit. There's lots of shit that's come out.
Some of the things that you're learning today about this case.
Well, they actually haven't dropped some documents for a while, but we had never seen any of the footage, so the footage of him driving around the house, the 4 times around the house.
You lying succubus. Are you serious right now? Y'all had the 11/12 footage literally like that night. Ugh. Steve Goncalves told Brett Norton that Jack Decor went over there and got the footage access for y'all that night. Y'all told Brett Norton and even sent her a screenshot of the time that Eric was dropping the girls off. And you just sat here on this fool's freaking channel and lied about not having any of the footage? What? Oh my God. This is crazy. She can't just be honest about anything. She can't just say, yeah, Jack was neighbors with the people that lived at 11/12 that have that footage of the car, and he was able to get us access, and we kind of saw what was going on, so we kind of knew about the car. Like, why can't y'all just be honest? Oh my God. Oh my God. That's my problem. How come no one ever calls them out when they are being questioned? All of this information is out there for the freaking public. I am just, wow. I cannot believe she just said that. Girl, you are a liar. Liar. And you don't even have to go that far back. We just went over the information with Dot and her lion ass and the stuff with Brat, because Brat helped orchestrate a lot with Dot. And Brat is the one that Steve Goncalves was talking to. Oh my God. Girl, we've been knowing for years y'all had 11/12. What do you mean? I am shook. I shouldn't be surprised, but what the fuck?
Been over probably back in November.
Give me a sense of some of the things that you're learning today about this case.
Well, they actually haven't dropped some documents for a while, but we had never seen any of the footage, so the footage of him driving around the house, the 4 times around the house. You could hear Murphy barking. You see the girls come home. So that was the last.
You see a car pull in.
They were.
Remember, they lied about that too. They said that they had footage of the girls getting out of the car, walking into the house, and then something about taking Murphy out to go to the bathroom. That was told to us by Olivia way hella early on. Steve even reiterates that exact same phrasing about literally seeing the girls going into the house in his conversation with Brett Norton, just for us to find out from any information that we have gotten anyway, that 11/12 camera is the only camera apparently in that neighborhood. And what does it show? I've shown it 1.5 million times because we paid for the full footage. It's muted, but we paid for it and put it out there in true form. And there's a Google Drive for you to have it yourself. What does it show? It simply shows what is supposed to be Eric Gower's car driving in. Less than a minute later, he is driving out. And as soon as he gets to that stop sign, the car that has Jack Decor and his roommates in it drives on in, and Eric leaves, and the car sits over there for a minute, and then the guy who was dropping off Jack leaves. And Kaylee and Jack got home within a minute of each other. You don't see or hear anything else. Now, I have asked very specifically if there was other camera footage that actually faces 11/22, because in one of Brett Payne's reports about the DoorDash driver, he makes a very interesting statement. But if you've been here for a while, then you know that they're telling us that there's no other angles and no other footage that exists. So, no, you did not see the girls get home. You saw what you believe to be Eric Gower's car coming in and dropping them off, and you know the timestamp that you were told, but it does not show them. And they lied very, very detailing like about that for years now. And I don't understand why. So either he's hiding camera footage that MPD and the FBI and ISP don't want us to know about or don't know about themselves, or just like we figure, they're lying. Why are we continuing these same lies that already the proof's out for? That's weird.
I think there was an issue because things were coming out that were supposed to be redacted that were unredacted. And that was such as, you know, the kids, the victims, some of the victims, not our kids, but the neighbors and the friends, they were releasing their fingerprints and their social security numbers and stuff like that. So they were like,
I'm sorry, did any of the friends or neighbors' fingerprints come out? I don't remember any of the friends or neighbors' fingerprints coming out. I think that we have Jack Ducour's, right? And we have the victims and we have Bryan's. Do we have Jack Ducour's? I know that they didn't even bother with his fingerprints until like, what was it, May of 2025? And there's a report that they did for getting his fingerprints. Now, I know that they had Hunter Johnson's social security number was in one of the documents. That was a big no-no. That was a super big no-no. Showalter's, yeah. His were taken because he was in the jail for something else whenever they took his. That's crazy. She's over-exaggerating. See how she's over-exaggerating again, though? Like, this has nothing to do with regular schmegular people that didn't have actual investigations done on them. And we know that Jack Ducour was literally suspect number one. It's in the forensic reports that were released. You can't deny it. It's not a lie. His name is right there. And in all of the rest of the forensic reports, we have Bryan Kohberger constantly only on line number 2. And even when his name is finally added to them, there's still someone on suspect number 1's line, and they have it blocked out until we got that drop that showed it was Jack Ducour's name. So us seeing Jack Ducour's fingerprints is fine. He was suspect number 1. Us seeing Jack Showalter's fingerprints is fine. They were taken when he was arrested for something else, and it was added to the case file, right? But we sure don't see Dylan's or Bethany's or Jenna's or Hunter Johnson's or Emily's or anyone else's. So can we not over-exaggerate? I don't know if that's possible for you, but I'd really appreciate it. It would help a lot.
oh no. And then some of the crime scene photos came out. And unfortunately, Xana was in some of those photos. 3 photos that actually showed Xana. So we, as a family, met with the governor's office and we said, what is going on? Like, this is uncalled for. This should not be happening. And it seems like since we had that meeting with the governor's office, nothing has been dropped since then. So I don't know if they got in touch with these entities, which is MPD, ISP. I doubt the FBI will release anything, but City of Moscow releasing things. And I think they kind of said, you guys need to figure out what's going on, but we cannot make these mistakes.
But see, you meeting with the governor's office like later on for the bill that ended up being passed doesn't have anything to do with how it was immediately removed within like a few hours of being noticed. So let's keep that part in mind too.
So since then, nothing has really came out, but it was new things every day. It was, you know, the footage, it was crime scene photos, it was interviews. Nothing that led us away or let us steered us from 163214 being.
Because you're not looking at them. You're not reading them. There's literally nothing in that evidence that points to him besides this little bitty bit of DNA that was on a resubmitted Q-tip that there's no paper trail for. Why do y'all not care about that? Why do y'all not care about that? Why do y'all not care about the chain of custody evidence and the bag that the damn knife sheath being in? Why do y'all not care that it looks like it was manipulated and only created because somebody FOIA'd it? Why are y'all not paying attention to the facts? It's very odd.
The perpetrator and the sole perpetrator, but other people feel differently, which, you know, is just, I feel like it's a mental illness. You know,
the release of this.
So the FBI agent that's writing a book about how something's effed up here is mentally ill. If you ask any questions about this case whatsoever, even though she's literally read nothing and doesn't give 2 shits to sit down and actually look through evidence, we're the mentally ill ones.
This information, and again, you know, people have a right to know.
She's very ignorant, sweetie.
But it has fueled
She's been ignorant.
A ghoulish, sadistic, sick effort
you
on the
talk
part
like
of some on social media and, you know, the
Weirdo.
internet and some of these platforms in general to go after the family, to go after you and make crazy allegations and
If
things.
they
And
wouldn't lie.
it's so didisturbing
So are
and
lies.
so wrong.
So are
Yet
lies.
people do it. And I guess it's like the people who take part in the 764 movement.
See what
They're
I mean?
nihilists. They do things just to be.
This dude is so beyond effing pathetic. Do y'all know what the 764 movement is? Do y'all have any idea what the 764 movement is? Let me read it to you. Let me read it to you. Because this goes just as convolutedly, disgustingly freaking tone deaf as the comment about how wanting to see actual crime scene photo evidence is the same as looking at child porn. The 764 is a decentralized international online extremist network involved in child exploitation, sadist violence, and nihilistic extremism. The 764 network emerged in 2021 from the CVLT network and was founded by Bradley Chance Cadenhead, also known as Felix. It operates primarily through online platforms such as Discord, Telegram, Roblox, and Minecraft, and is loosely connected with other extremist groups within the COM network. They basically go out, find children, act like they're kids to get these kids' attention and to get them to trust them. They get them to send them passwords for things, dirty, naked photos, things that they can use as blackmail, and then they try to blackmail the kids. A lot of kids have taken their own lives because people in this group have conned them into showing private parts and all kinds of things to these actual adults and then blackmailing them if they don't do what they ask for. There's so many kids that have literally taken their own lives because of this group. That is what this tone-deaf, old, ignorant man just compared everyone out here to that actually reads the court documents and has issues with the lies in this case. You're pathetic, Chris Hansen. Beyond fucking pathetic. How dare you keep comparing the fact that we want truth and justice to things this disgusting? Is that what's always on your mind? Is that what's always on the back of your mind? Do we need to search your search history and see why this is constantly like in the front of your head where it's not needed? Every actor in this situation is a full-blown ass adult. Wanting to look at crime scene photos and wanting to do stupid shit to be able to see dead bodies are two completely different things. So are you telling me that Joe Scott Morgan is part of this 764 network? Is that what you're trying to say? Because he sure went over the photos. Are you saying that Jesse Weber is part of the 764 network or like any of your colleagues? Because they sure freaking looked at all of them too. You stupid old man. When they over-exaggerate shit like this, you can't take them seriously. And for him being in this position for as long as he claims to have been, how can you sit there and say this kind of dumb shit with a straight face? You sound totally ignorant. Beyond totally ignorant. What a dumbass. I cannot believe that that's just what he keeps going to. Again, since the sentencing, they keep pushing it this way. And it's freaking weird. It's really freaking weird.
Mean and hateful. And you've had to experience some of that. Give me a sense. I mean, how do you even deal with that? You've already lost your daughter. The guy who's responsible enters into a plea agreement, which does not please you. And I understand why. And then you've got these sociopaths on the internet making things up and attacking your family. I just don't understand why anybody would do it, but I do understand how painful it could be to you.
Absolutely. It's it's salt in the wound at every step we take. You know, we can't do anything. You know, we were very vocal and we fought for Kaylee. We fought for the kids. We were, you know, very adamant about getting justice for them. You know, at this point, there is justice. I feel that justice will be served when he takes his last breath, but justice, he is locked up. And now, you know, the internet wants to accuse our family of, I've seen they've accused us of, we're human traffickers. We have sex parties. We were trafficking Kaylee and Maddie at very young ages. We were putting them out there. We got Kaylee breast implants when she was 15 years old, which is untrue. Kaylee.
Have y'all ever heard any of that shit on this channel? Exactly.
Did not have breast implants because Steve liked a certain look, and that's what he wanted. He was grooming her. It's just horrible.
And this stuff comes from nowhere, and I've seen it
nowhere.
Okay,
and I get it. As a public figure, people will say mean and untrue things, but taking it and extending that behavior towards you is absolutely unacceptable, and I can't understand it. Yeah, you know what happened. I guess you just have to block it out, right, and say those people are.
And remember, the one who came out here and first started the rumor about Maddie and Kaylee being sugar babies and selling themselves was JLR, who later what was in their home taking selfies with them, multiple. Steve knew. There's no way he didn't know what JLR was saying about the girls. And what did he do? He welcomed them in. Besties.
Are horrible humans, and we're just not going to look at it. The foundation law has now passed, as we mentioned earlier in the interview. Will this be Kaylee's legacy? Will this be one of the important things that people will remember about her, and to give others a sense of justice going forward?
We don't know Kaylee. Okay, let's be honest about stuff. We don't know any of these people. We only know what we found from social media, watching their videos, and the things that we found out about them since they died. As somebody who actually gives a shit here and was deep as hell into this before we ever had a Kohberger name ever announced, I do not and will never put Kaylee and these people together. I just won't. She will be known for what she will be known for, and they will be known for their bullshit. So no, whatever's happening here is not, at least in my opinion, going to be Kaylee's legacy, because this is a mess. And Kaylee is probably, if things are real and whatever's happening is happening and she's looking and seeing all this shit, there's no way she's happy about it. There's no way that they can actually sit back knowing who she was as a true crime person, knowing that that's what brought them to Chronicles of Olivia, who's now going to marry their son, which is weird enough in itself. Weird as shit enough in itself. But then they sit here and they talk shit about true crimers while being on true crime channels, while going to Comic-Con. Like, look, there's like one person in my entire damn life that has been more hypocritical than y'all. And considering how disgustingly hypocritical that's been to witness, to say that y'all are even anywhere near that situation says a shit ton. Says a shit ton. Like, do y'all not have a conscience? Y'all don't sit back and think at all about like anything below the surface collectively as a group? Like, nobody has sat back and been like, we might need to like think a little first before we keep running our mouths like this, but then entertaining all these true crime channels where we say we hate so much of it. Like, I'm sorry. The only reason why y'all are even like as important as you think that you are is because of people in true crime that care about truth. True crime. If people didn't give a shit about cases like this, then nobody would know who you were. Like, the hypocrisy is just so crazy. The hypocrisy is so crazy. It's so weird. Weird. Hey, beautifully broken woman, how are you doing? Right? Like, calling us mentally ill. Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? Thank you for the $4.99, Katie. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I don't think this has very much left. No, it has 37 seconds. Let's see if I can not run my mouth for 37 seconds.
Really hope so. Oh, and we have high hopes for the foundation. And we are aligned with amazing people who started out as a complete stranger, and she came into my life. And her name is Tracy Bracco, and she's the most amazing woman that I've ever known. And I've never even met her in real life yet,
Never
but it
heard
will
of her.
happen. And she has put together a wonderful team, and her family has been incredible in helping us get this going, and just made, literally, I feel like has made miracles happen.
That's it. Basically, he tells her hi and bye and thank you for being here. Yeah, that was wildly ridiculous. Wildly. And I don't understand how she can sit there. I'm checking the website to see if there's any new documentation. Probably not, though. I don't see how she can sit there and say the lies that she says. But she does. She gets away with it every time because there's so many people. There's so many people that like there's been so much information coming in that all of the stuff that she says that's not honest, everything that she says that's not truthful, like unless someone reminds them, then they just go along with it because there's been so much. So much. To say you never saw the footage, like, I'm sorry. Like, I've got the proof. We know you have it. We know that you've had it. We know all of the truth here. Like, what? It's wild. I mean, it's not hard to just say that we want you to like be honest. That's all that we're asking for. And if that feels like an attack, like I've already said, then that's your problem. That's your problem if you feel like it's an attack. It's all in black and white, the questions that we have. It's not anything being made up. It's all very, very real things that y'all have either put out yourselves, said yourselves, interviewed, and it was out in black and white print. It's all stuff that you have put out that we have questions about. Like, if Kaylee really cared about like truth and making sure that like crimes were done correctly and truth prevailed and the right guy got like put away, like there's no way that she would be okay with any of this. And I've said that a million times, and I know I just said it a second ago, but if they're so godly, if they're so Christian, if they're so religious, how come they're not conducting themselves the way that they know that Kaylee would want them to be conducting themselves? Probably because, Kaylee was trying to get away and do her own thing and get out of that situation, is what it seemed like. All those very last minute changes and the drastic move that was probably going to happen back and forth and whatever the hell was going on, it's all very strange. And to know that they have been lying to us about so many things, including the intention of where she was that entire week and if she actually lived in that house or not, is wild. Absolutely wild. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. It is 3:30. Oh, less than 2 hours? Oh, an hour and 45. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. I don't know if we're going to go live tonight. Honestly, we probably will. But I think if we go live tonight, I want to update on the Anna Kepner case. Now, we haven't talked about the Anna Kepner case since November, because at that point in time, her stepbrother, who is technically still a minor, they were really back and forth about what they were going to do, what the charges were going to be, and they finally decided to charge him as an adult. They're finally showing his face. They're finally giving us information, and there's been a few pages released as an indictment. I did find, I think it was on the Independent, there was like a really decent timeline because, like, look, we deep dive Idaho, okay? And now we're starting to deep dive Gypsy Rose. But I don't want to not catch up on other cases because I feel like I have to deep dive into every little case I talk about. I've given all of that pressure away. So we're just going to start doing little lives to do the updates on the things that there is. And if I have to pull it from somewhere else and then validate it real quick and then get to it, and I don't have to sit there for days and search it up first to validate anything, this is what we're going to do to get it out there. And we have a DOJ statement and we have the indictment paperwork. So I don't feel like we'll be live very long going over that. So that being said, what I've also planned out is to do a live at some point this week to go over the documentation that came out a super long time ago when it comes to the Celeste Rivas Hernandez situation and that David D4DV dude or whatever. There's still no arrest in that case. It makes me freaking sick to my stomach to know what we know about how her body was found and the position and the condition that it was in and like what is happening. I don't understand. There's a lot plus my boy Noel from Everman that we now have an update for that was from the very beginning of the channel. We have something we need to talk about then too. We're just going to do the thing. So I'm going to get a little bit of stuff together. I'll get the update thing scheduled out, and I'll go ahead and post the next Sunday's Gypsy Rose live so that we can just go ahead and get that out there. I don't know what we'll be going live about tomorrow or Thursday for our morning live, but I'll figure it out by tomorrow or by the end of the day. I'll figure it all out. So you guys go and have a great Tuesday. Don't forget it's Taco Tuesday, meaning you can have all the tacos that you want and it doesn't count for calories. That's how I think about it. Just remember that. Remember that. Thank you so much for being in here with me and listening to this crazy stuff and caring about facts and caring about what's being lied to us about and what we can prove is being lied to us about and asking the right questions, because there's no reason to be lying about anything. And that's the entire point here. It's not an attack. It's just asking for truth and accountability. That's all this is. That's all this is. Thank you all for being in here. Thank you for the super chats and the super stickers. And thank you for the memberships and the gifted memberships. And again, of course, for those that joined on their own, I very much appreciate you and just being in here and spending your time with me. Isn't it? Oh my God. He's so freaking cute. And one of you guys sent a PayPal a couple days ago and said that a portion of it was for Don Don so he can do his next video. So I told him about that yesterday, and I think they're probably going to do, there's a one-piece meal that KFC just put out. That's probably what he's going to do. That's probably what he's going to do. It kind of sucks I have to keep it on where it is, but it's also safer for him at the same time. Because you can't just like find the channel because it's literally like undermade for kids. He stays covered up. His face stays with glasses. And he's just sitting somewhere. But he's been really, really, really wanting to get into this. And we've been putting it off. But I just had to find a way to do it. A way to do it safely to where his face is still covered. His identity is still protected. It's made for kids. So people can't just like go in there. I don't even think that you can put comments. I don't even think you can have notifications. Which also kind of sucks because he can't grow right now, really. Because of the stipulations, but it's still a safer way. Plus, he's 8. We're just starting. And it's something he's been asking me to do for like a year and a half now. So I finally just caved in. But yes, his little first video was so freaking cute. So freaking cute. He's a freaking pro. Yes, he's a freaking little pro. He's so good at it. He's so funny, too. He says some off-the-wall stuff. He's hilarious. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to get off of here. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, but I will be seeing you later. Let me go ahead and roll this out. Please do not forget to leave a like on your way out and subscribe to the channel if you are not subscribed already. All right, you guys. See y'all.